International Scrapbooking Day. Being that it's such an important day or weekend, I thought I would share with you a layout that I'm doing, a process video. This is a photo of my mother-in-law, my daughter and I that was taken last night. I wanted to scrap for her for Mother's Day. I do that every year. I'm going to use the Free Spirit collection by Coco Vanilla. I've had it for a while and haven't used it. I've got a few bits and pieces here with the collection as well that I'll use. I've got a stencil here, some distress ink. I've got peacock feathers, worn lipstick and dried marigold. Thought they went well with the collection, and this beautiful Bowls of Designs, the Crafters Workshop flower stencil that I'm going to use. So I keep my foam pads in the bottom of my ink tools, and they're just colours that match those embellishments. So I'm going to sort of go a bit heavier in the middle of the stencil and then lighter to fade out towards the edges, and I'll just slightly blend those three colours together. I didn't actually tape the cardstock or the stencil down. It was a bit of a risk, but this stencil's got so many open areas that I didn't want to create any harsh lines there. So I've just sped up this inking a bit for you, because otherwise this video would take forever, but you get the general idea of it, that I'm just blending out that peacock feathers, starting heavier in the middle, blending out and swiping the ink towards the outside. So now I'm just moving on to the next colour, and these are brand new foam, so it takes me a while to sort of squish the ink onto the foam to make sure enough colour actually transfers to do the blending. I like these mini ink blending tools because they are round, so it's easier to get a smooth transition, and this mixed media or multimedia cardstock is sort of thicker, and it's made to absorb liquids really well, so it means that the blending process is really smooth and much easier than if you were using sort of a standard cardstock. So I highly recommend this Basil Card Shop marshmallow colour card stock. So if you have any questions about that, let me know, and I can let you know where I got it or any questions that you might have. So I'm trying not to overlap the colours too much because there's actually no purple in that collection, and I don't want the two colours there to make purple. I just want them to seamlessly blend. So now I'm doing the same thing, moving on to the third colour that I'm using for my background, and starting darker in the middle, blending. I've got some ink on my hands there, blending out towards the outside. I'm just pulling the colour that's left there outside because I do want to be able to see the flower shape of the stencil without having a hard edge there. So I just sort of want it darker in the middle, lighter on the edges, but still being able to see the shape of the stencil on the outside. So you can see there, that's looking good. Remove the stencil. Now I'm just using my distress sprayer to create some droplets, which I'll leave for a few seconds and then pick up with a tissue because I didn't have any paper towel handy, just to create a bit of a difference on the background there. Now I'm just matting my photo on, after struggling a little bit with my tape, I had a bit wrapped around the roller there, just matting my photo on a piece of the cardstock from the collection, something contrasting because it is quite a dark photo. I'm leaving a bit of a border there, a bit bigger than what I normally would leave because I'm actually going to distress that cardstock, so I wanted to make sure that once some of it was taken off there was still enough room of a border to see the paper around the photo there. So I'm just using my Prima Distress tool there. Now I won't make you sit through all this, but what I've done is cut up a whole heap of paper from the collection, distressed it all, and then I'm just sticking it randomly in layers. Now this is inspired by Amy Pryor's layering style. She does beautiful work. Now I don't pretend to be as talented as she is, but I really like the way her mats make the photo stand out from the background. So I'm just really random here. I don't have any rhyme or reason. I'm just choosing contrasting colours more than anything. I haven't cut the pieces of paper to any particular size, and if I think a piece is too big, I just grab my scissors there and cut it smaller, but I'm just kind of working around the photo there, choosing colours and patterns that do contrast with each other so that the photo stands out against the background. And because you know, it's just the one photo and I want the background to be a focus, I do want the photo mat to use up some of the pattern paper and be a focal point on its own. So that's why I've chosen this style of photo mat, to just try and really bring the focus to the photo while incorporating the colours from the collection there. So I'm just trying to figure out here how I want to do the final sort of layering piece. I don't tend to like the layers just all in one shape. I like to have bits coming out of different pieces or parts of the photo mat. So here I'm just going to have a piece coming out of the bottom that sticks out lower. I'm doing that because I want a space for my journaling later. I've just cut out a bit of a cut apart from the collection there, and I like the way those sort of chevron style arrows are pointing down towards the photo. I think it draws the eye. I was thinking, oh, where can I incorporate this other little piece I've just cut out, and I'm just going to stick it there under the right hand corner, and I needed to distress one of the edges because I'd cut that piece in half, so just popping that there. And then I just wanted to make the right hand side there a bit more smoother in the transition, so I've stuck another piece under there. So realised that when I put it down, it probably wasn't as straight as it could be. I'm not too pedantic about that stuff, but it was just a little bit too wonky. So I've lifted it up and repositioned that. So now I'm just looking at what I need to do next, and looking at the layout, I think it needs a darker border. So I've just pulled out this giant pack of Frenchville cardstock I've had forever. Just got that from Spotlight, and I've cut 1/4 inch off each side of the background. I have distressed all around the background with my Prima tool, and also inked using the dried marigold distress ink, just to give it a bit of contrast between the white and the pink, and I think that's much better. Now, because I did lift up that photo mat, I just reapplied some adhesive under there just to make sure that it sticks really well, and I've just now stuck that photo mat down. Now, I'm just using some of the cardstock stickers here. I've decided just to take the edge off the stark white just by using some of the ink that was left on the blending tools, and I'm just kind of layering that between some of the pieces of the photo mat there. I really love that corner shape that it gives, and I'm just having a look at some of the other stickers to think about what else I could use. Love tiny words, and this tiny word said love that smile, and I think that suits the photo, so I've just popped that beneath the photo mat there. You can see the cut apart piece there. I'm not going to stick that down yet because I do want to journal on that. I've just got these, they're thickers of some description. I can't remember which collection they come from, but being lazy, these are sort of pre-made titles, I guess. Now, in the collection, there are things that do say shine, so I thought Shine Bright Darling would be a really good title for this page. Now, I wanted the bright to be in a different colour, not just gold, so I thought the pink or the turquoise sort of glitter foam thickers would work really well, and I was deciding which one to use. I went with the pink, so I just grabbed my ruler here so I can line it up somewhat straight, and position that in the middle of the two words there. So I'm just putting the letters against the ruler here to get a straightish line for the middle part of my title. I like to break it up like that, especially if you're using those big thicker title words, I guess. It just makes it a little less, well, it's not too much if you have something else in between, whether it's handwriting or it could be just plain, flat alpha stickers. But, I did want this to be fairly blingy, but when I adhered the G down, I realised I needed to move that darling word down just a little bit because it was actually connecting the L of the darling, and I didn't want that. So just repositioning that there, fixing the little dot of the I. I really love the foam thickers, they're the best. I struggle with the cardstock ones. Now I've just got this little phrase, it is so perfect, just from the cut aparts on the sheet, which says shine bright. How perfect is that? So I am just going to get some foam tape and pop that up the top of the layout there. So the foam tape was a little bit too thick, so I've just got a piece of the tape and literally cut it in half, just so you can't see it. I don't want any to overhang that little tiny word sort of strip, so I'm just going to stick that up the top there, which ties in nicely, and it brings in some darkness to the top there because the photo is quite dark. Another piece of the cut apart, I'm actually just cutting apart the banner, inking around the edge there. I think I've just used the pink colour worn lipstick there, and I'm just going to pop that down the bottom of the photo. I love this tacky glue, and I've just got this, it's called Scrap Perfect, this medium size nozzle that I've replaced the nozzle on the tacky glue with, and it just makes life so much easier. The perfect amount comes out. I'm so in love with it. It's the best it's life-changing, get it. Yeah, so I'm just using that to adhere this little sort of banner, heart banner up the top of the page. I often like to put things on the top left of the page. I'm not sure why I do that, but I do it a lot. I try and create a bit of a cluster, I guess, top right, somewhere around the photo, and usually top left and bottom right, just so that your eye is drawn to the photo. I'm just now inking the edges of some of the butterfly cardstock stickers from the collection pack and just adding those there. I wanted something to balance out the large photo mat there, and wanted a few things scattered throughout the right side of the page, so I thought these little cardstock butterflies were perfect. I was originally going to use my Bosch glue pen, which I love, but it's flat, so that wasn't going to happen, but I left that in because I highly recommend that glue pen. It's awesome. I'm just going to use one of these flare buttons that's part of the collection here, and it says, I think, shine. So again, that's just perfect for this layout. So the theme's repeating throughout the layout. And I'm also just going to use some of these resin hearts, and I'm just choosing which colours I want to use. Now they're sort of stuck down with glue dots. It's a bit of a struggle to get them off, but that's good because it means they're not going to fall off the layout. We don't want that. So years ago I gave my mother-in-law her first framed layout, and throughout the years I've just replaced that layout every Mother's Day, and she takes out the layout that's in the frame. I also gave her an album, so that layout then goes in the album, and a new layout goes in the frame to display for the next 12 months, something new to look at. So she's got building up an album over the years of her with us or her granddaughter, which is our daughter Emily. So here I'm just adhering some flowers, paper flowers from my stash. I'm obsessed with flowers. I have to put them on nearly every layout that I do, and I just wanted to incorporate some of the colours. So I didn't want to overwhelm it with flowers, which I also like to do, but I did want to just bring in some, femininity to the layout and some softness and dimension, and the flowers are the perfect thing. And the tacky glue, because it dries quite quickly, works quite well with the flowers because you're not having to sit there for ages holding them down, and it will be permanent once it's dry. So sorry, that's a little bit off camera there. I'm just popping a little flower up the top near the resin heart, just holding them down until they sort of grab onto the paper. I'm choosing a few different colours, and really I'm just going from the collection as to what I want to use. So I've got some orange, some pink, some hot pink there, that larger flower that I've used, and some white or off-white flowers there in different sizes that I just like to cluster. Yes, I'm just sort of softening the edge of the photo, I guess extending the photo frame and just using them as embellishments on the layout. And now I'm just looking at some other embellishments I can add to finish off the layout. I've got these gorgeous puffy gold heart stickers from DIY Shop. I bought them at Spotlight in Australia, and I just had to add them. I thought they went quite well with the heart resin pieces that are on there, so I'm just putting 3 on there. I generally like to put odd numbers of things. I've only used 2 of the resin hearts because I've used 1 flare button there, so that's I guess the grouping of 3. And I also just wanted to finish off the last thing with some enamel dots, because enamel dots, you gotta have them. These colours, they're from Flooded by Designs, and they just work absolutely perfectly with the colours that are on here. Just scattering them in those 3 sort of embellishment cluster areas there. Just some turquoise, some pink, and some orange, just to finish that off. And I think that's pretty much it except for the journaling. So I'm just going to quickly journal who's in the photo, where we were, what we were doing, and the date of the photo. So now you can see I'm just using some foam tape to pop up that journaling under the photo mat. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you like my layout. Happy International Scrapbooking Day, everyone. Bye.